Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the BB-Scho. As always, I'm your host, Beebs, joined by my co-host, Chen. We're here to talk, recap week 9. Oh my gosh, we are moving.
Uh,
We are moving through the season. As Scott Hansen said, we're at the exact halfway point on Sunday. 136 games, or have been played, 136 games to go, something like that after Thursday night. I don't know the exact numbers, but irregardless, we're here to recap week 9, talk preview week 10, talk about some headlines. Dennis Allen getting fired, some issues going on in the Bears locker room. Are the Lions just, a college team playing at the high school level? Like, we'll discuss all of this. But before we dive into anything football related, Chen,
ooh,
how you doing today, man?
ooh. I try to keep it or what's the word I'm looking for here? Because I feel like a lot of times it is football related. So in terms of how I'm doing football relation wise, not well, man. The Packers did the Packers. Week 9 already. Like I know it's week 9, but given the fact like we're 2 months into the season already, that kind of feels surreal. Um, Gonna miss red zone. Hate that I'm already saying that. But gonna cherish these last 2 months back after the season. Got a lot of things going on. And I'll just go right into it because I was feeling good about the Jets pick after the Thursday night game. Given what Rodgers tends to do, they're kind of right on schedule of they'll probably win a couple of their next couple easy games, get to like 500, be at like the 9-7 mark, like they did with the Packers, and then have a backbreaking loss to miss the playoffs, or just get knocked out in the first round. But curious to hear your thoughts on just the game in general. I don't want to harp on the Texans too much because they are very banged up. Shroud hasn't looked as good as his rookie year, but in the same time, he's not awful, and he doesn't have a whole
Here's,
lot to work with.
yeah, yeah, that's well said. With the Texans, we kind of already talked about this, and I think the question needs to be asked is, can that offensive line make it out of the AFC? Just like that's the question. Every other position on the team definitely is a top contender, but with that offensive line, can they actually win the AFC? Are they true contenders?
Hmm.
Nice or ice? I'm gonna say no.
Nah, I mean the way they're looking right now, no.
I
I've been
just
kind of waiting
I
for them to come alive.
this team and sure they'll get some juice back with Nico Collins returning. They've run the ball better than they did last year, and that's mainly it appears to be entirely on Joe Mixon, which just goes against the old adage of running backs don't matter because evidently they somewhat do. But regardless, this O line against Spags in an AFC playoff game, really, that's gonna
Yeah.
be a nightmare. That's gonna be a nightmare, man. Like that's not gonna go well for let alone the Chiefs. TJ Watt, the Raven, Kyle Hamilton. Like there's so many just bad matchups for the Texans in this year's playoffs, and it's one of those things where like, yeah, they can win the AFC South and maybe win a playoff game if they get like a Colts like wild card berth, and that's who they got to play. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Something easy, yeah.
Yeah, if they get, and I'm not saying, that they couldn't beat the Steelers, and I think they could, but it's just, I don't know, man. I'm
Not feeling
concerned.
it.
I'm
Yeah.
growing concerned. Like, I'm at the party, I'm on Twitter, I've already kind of sat down in my own corner and I'm zoned out, and I'm like, all right, how long do I have to stay here before it's now no longer rude to just leave?
That is a very good way to put the Texans right now. I feel like they're like an 8 or 9 team for me. And it's like,
Like they're
at what
good,
point
and
do
I
you
picked them to
just
win.
lose?
I picked them to win often, and I think that this was a big win for the Jets, and we can get into that. But
Hmm.
do they beat the Jets if they're not banged up? Probably. So like, I'm not really concerned and panicking. It's just a matter of like, how good actually are they? Can they actually win the Super Bowl? And right now, their offensive line is going to hold them back from accomplishing that. Like that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, I gotta 100% agree with you because that's an issue that you just don't want to have at the end of the year. You want to be able to run the ball
Yeah.
consistently. You don't want your quarterback under pressure in tight games. Um, Jets side of things, though, I mean, I kind of gave my predictions. What are your thoughts on the good old
I
three
have
and
to.
six Jets?
Yeah, okay, so the Jets stink. Let's just start there. Okay, the Jets stink. However, your prediction of a redo of the 2022 Packers feels very apropos when I pull up their schedule.
Yeah.
And national media goes berserk. I mean, this is a team that lost to the Patriots, man. Like, let's keep as the next few weeks roll out. Let's keep our heads on straight. They with how bad the Texans looked, they should have blown them out. And I get that it's Thursday night, but I've never seen a team win and not look that good doing it. Like it just wasn't. I'm just unimpressed every time I watch them. And I can pull up the box score from Thursday night. I mean, Rodgers 3 touchdowns. He looks great. They have that garbage time touchdown to Devontae, which kind of it wasn't garbage time. It put the game away. Defense played good. However, they still gave up 100 yards rushing to a team that has a bad offensive line. Joe Mixon has 100 yards. Actually, they almost gave up 200 yards rushing. Joe Mixon 106, CJ Stroud 60, JJ Taylor 23. That's close to 200. It's just one of those things where, like I said, if their receiving core wasn't just Tank Dell on Thursday night, who by the way was 6 for 126, they're probably winning the game. And now the Texans are 2-7. So it just like I don't want to be that guy. This doesn't move the needle for me. Like I'm just gonna be honest. And you're gonna call me crazy after Thursday night, and this has to get shouted out. I don't know why we had to trade for Devontae Adams. Period. Point blank. When you have Garrett Wilson making these kind of plays and catches, and Garrett Wilson's production has actually probably increased since they traded for Devontae. So ultimately, maybe for the price they got him for, it will work out. But the narrative was well, none of these guys have a connection with Rodgers and we can't get anything going on offense. We need Devontae to save us. And I don't think that's the case. If the
No.
narrative was we're going to go get a guy that's got chemistry, help us in the red zone, and got chemistry with the quarterback, he's going to help us in the red zone, and he's a veteran guy to help these younger guys. Okay. But that's not, even from Rodgers' mouth himself, that was not like the narrative.
Right.
Another concern on why the Jets aren't going to win a Super Bowl or make the playoffs, they have an interim head coach, period, point blank. No further
Yeah.
questions, Your Honor. Secondly, Rodgers is just an awful teammate at this point in his career. I don't know. 10 years ago, this was like not the case with him. And I don't know what changed, but he will just go into press conferences and crap on his teammates passive aggressively, sometimes not just straight up. Makes no sense to me. I know I sound like I'm going on a hate rant right now, but I'm doing all of this to eventually move into their schedule, which I'll now do. And these are all reasons why I believe they won't make the playoffs. Their to finish out their year, it's Cardinals, Colts, Seahawks, Dolphins, Jaguars, Rams, Bills, Dolphins. I think they're going to split those Dolphins games. Um, and it's really just going to come down to like you have to handle business against
Colts,
the Colts and the
Cardinals,
Cardinals. Like
it's like
that's
that. Yeah.
I don't think they're going to beat the Bills. It's just the AFC is too crowded, man. And a team at 9-7, like they have to probably run the table at 3-6 to have a chance. Like
Yeah.
genuinely speaking, they're going to have to get to what would that be? 10-6, 11-6. Like you're gonna have to run the table, and I know that's ironic, but I don't see them beating the Dolphins twice in 4 weeks. Are they really gonna beat the Bills on the road in December? Like,
Yeah.
probably not. Probably not. And so it's just one of those like, and then they've got they've got a schedule that could do it. It's not like they got to play the Chiefs or something like that. But the Bills are up there in that conversation. And then there's a lot of just good wins on like hard wins, tough outs on this schedule. Dolphins twice, Rams, tough out. Cardinals seem to be a tough out. Colts with Flacco, probably a tough out. Seahawks, definitely a tough out. And Bills
Mhm.
are like, you got to play your best to beat. I don't see it happening. I don't see the path. At 3-6, I don't see the path.
They'd have to get lucky, get a game or two that we're not anticipating. But yeah, I don't think there is a path this year. Uh, it's kind of the narrative you said earlier, unimpressive. Like I don't think there's been one game this year where I was like, oh, Jets look pretty good. You know what I mean? Like we're
Yeah.
halfway through the season and there's really been no signs of life,
Yeah,
even with the
it's like
wins
they,
they're
they
picking up.
sneak by on Thursday night against the Texans and get an important win over a
Yeah,
good team, but it's like, okay, like you lost by 3 to the Patriots on Sunday. I haven't forgotten yet. Like it's,
right. We
you
also
know,
just turned around and lost to the Titans, but
Yeah.
I digress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can pivot though. We mentioned the Bills and kind of interdivision play. The Bills and the Dolphins played this week. This was probably the game of the week in terms of entertainment value. I don't know. Um,
Probably closest one, yeah.
I cannot think of another one that was this close, but the Bills win a thriller, 60-yard field goal from Tyler Bass to win 30-27. I think we know who the Bills are, and I can tell you who I think the Bills are, but I think you know what I'm going to say. Um, I'm more curious about your opinion on the Dolphins at 2-6 with Tua back.
I would be in a tough spot as a GM for the Dolphins right now. I just don't really know what you do because I don't think you want to blow it up. But I mean, we just talked about the AFC. Like it's just too deep. So something's got to change. Um, and maybe this opens up a larger conversation. Going back to the Jets, we talked about the Dolphins. There's a lot of teams with some very great wide receiver duos, almost to the point where we're getting to this point, the receivers, where they're getting in the running back category. And not as bad, but to that point of, I don't think as a GM, no matter the receiver, I'm giving a guy 30 million a year. I just don't think I want that for my team. I would rather put it on the defensive end of the ball and just make it work with a young guy you draft, you pick up a veteran, kind of what the Bills have been doing. And we'll see how it works because the Chiefs of old have been doing it every year since they lost Tyreek Hill.
So here's what I'll push back
So,
though. Here's where I'll push
yep,
back is the
yep,
two teams that you're using as an example probably have the two best quarterbacks in football.
fair enough. Fair enough.
If
I
I'm the
have to
Minnesota
acknowledge that.
If I'm
Yeah.
the Minnesota Vikings and I lose Kirk Cousins, or even if I have Kirk Cousins, but well, if I lose Kirk Cousins and I know I got to start rookie JJ McCarthy in the next few years, or I'm bringing in Sam Darnold to start. I'm gonna fork over the 30 million to pay Justin Jefferson to make that guy's job easier. If Sam, because we've seen Sam Darnold out there with Elijah Moore and whoever else was in New York at that time, and he looks way worse than he does when he's got Justin Jefferson getting open and creating separation.
Very true.
So I think receivers, while overpaid, do have value. But I ultimately agree with you. The path to a Super Bowl, if you're blessed enough to have a top talent at quarterback, might be spending that money on defense rather than offense because as the Packers did for many years, and we've talked about, a great quarterback turns receivers into stars. James Jones, right? Devontae Adams himself, Jordy Nelson, right? These are
Yeah.
guys that probably would not have been stars elsewhere unless they developed under Aaron Rodgers. So, and James Jones wasn't a star by any means, but guys of value. Randall Cobb's another great example, right? He went somewhere else, probably on the back end of his prime, and was useless. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like, I think that a great quarterback can elevate the receivers, but a great receiver can elevate a poor quarterback.
That's a very good point. I mean, you literally just list. I mean, when I think of the Packers receivers of old, Greg Jennings, Jordy Nelson, James Jones, Cobb, they all were worse when they left the Packers, no matter the age.
And
Like
if
they
you want,
all
if you want the ultimate example, there's a dude out there who won 7 Super Bowls with Deion Branch, Julian Edelman, Danny Amendola, Wes Welker, and it's like, yeah, this quarterbacks can elevate receivers if they're that good.
fair enough. Fair enough. Like I think it's really they're at that point now with receivers where it's like a good running back makes a difference. Like you see it with Saquon and me, you see it with Derrick Henry and the Ravens. Like having that Justin Jefferson, those guys makes a difference. But I think we're on the same page where you put too much money into some of those guys and you're going to leave some more important pieces, in my opinion, out to dry, like the defense, like your front, both sides of the ball. I mean, offensive line and defensive line. Um, yeah, very interesting conversation, but I just wouldn't want to be the Dolphin. I think Stephen Ross, whoever's their GM right now, Chris Ballard, I don't know.
I don't know what you do. I agree with that. I don't know where you
You're
go
so
because
stuck.
you have juice. You're 2-6. I don't even know if the season's over. This team has a way better chance to me of running the table than the Jets do. Like
Agreed.
they've got way more juice. And you're 2-6. You've been injured all year. You go into the number one seed in the or the number not the number one seed, but the number two ish is probably seed in the AFC. And you go into Buffalo, a division rival. They're playing the best ball they have in years. You take them down to the wire. You play good on both sides of the ball, and you lose in a 60-yard field goal at the end of regulation because Josh Allen is Josh Allen. And it's like, gosh, what do we do? I mean, two is 25 of 28. These are Jared Goff numbers. 25 of 28, 231, two touchdowns. They're Jared Goff numbers. It's not like they don't run the ball well either. So it's what do you do?
Yeah.
You are forced to run it back and try and stay healthy. Like ultimately,
And really, I just think just draft defensively,
I guess. Yeah,
offense wise, like it's just, gosh, tough
it's
spot,
tough.
man.
It's tough. Your opinion on the Bills?
Won a close division game. Doesn't do anything for me, but let's hear it. What do you got? What do you got today?
Oh, I mean, it doesn't. I don't have anything else to. I don't have anything crazy to add. It's just
What's their record right now?
7-2.
Yeah.
They're a top three team in football. Like it's top three or four. You could have a conversation about uh top three or four. Your 3 to 4 top teams are Chiefs, Lions, Bills, Ravens. That's
Yeah. No
obviously
pushback for me.
yeah. I mean,
I
you
know
have
I
to
came
say
in
the Ravens are
strong.
better than the Bills, I guess, because they beat them. But
Fair enough.
the
Josh Allen
Bills,
not turning the ball over at all. I didn't anticipate.
he threw another interception because Keon Coleman freaking dropped it right into the receiver. I was so mad. I was like, no, the Josh Allen MVP case, no. Like that's
That's
literally
not, what, number two
yeah. This is
of the
only a
year?
second interception.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? My other case, 5 touchdowns, 1 interception this week, and they won. And we'll get into it, but they got to
All
win more
right.
games. They got to win more.
A lot more games for sure.
They got to win more games. Hey, we're halfway home, and we'll get into that. But seriously, though, the Bills somehow look good on defense despite losing everybody. Um, their run game is top tier. I would take the Lions and the Packers maybe over it. Genuinely, on the Ravens. Genuinely, I don't know outside of those three teams. I don't know who runs the ball more effective than the Bills since they fired their OC in the middle of last year. And then Josh Allen just no longer turns the ball over. And now all of a sudden you have Josh Allen was always a top tier quarterback, and his Achilles heel was he turned the ball over. Now he doesn't do that.
Oh
Like
yeah,
that
he doesn't really have an
period.
Achilles
He
heel.
doesn't have an Achilles heel. It's they look good, man. This is a year. This could be the year. Could be the year.
Could be. Is I'll just emphasize this: as good as they are as a running team, and it's not to take away anything from like the Lions, but it makes things easier on your defense when you can run the ball that well. So even if you have an average defense for the year, if you're one of the best running teams in football, they may look top 10. And that's how playoff teams are able to do what they do. I mean, I think of like the Bengals. I'm not saying they had a bad defense, but it was like they were not upper echelon. I think the year they won that or to end the Super Bowl, it was probably like fringe top 10 unit. And I think a lot of that was their offense. I mean,
Yeah, but they ran the ball a lot better back then than they do now.
absolutely. And just something to note, but not going to take anything with it. The Bills are more than ahead of schedule right now than where I thought they'd be at this point in the year.
Yeah.
Give them their flowers.
Hey man, we're rocking and rolling over in Buffalo. But all right, let's talk about a team that we've talked about a number of times, and ultimately I want to talk about another team and see where your head's at in this matchup. But the Cowboys played the Falcons. I want to start on the Cowboys and ultimately get to the Falcons and ask you where their ceiling is. But we, the Cowboys, man, I just hate to be that guy, but I think we need to run another victory lap on the Cowboys. Like
Oh, totally.
they've lost 3 straight. They're 3-5. Um, I, their next three are Eagles, Texans, Commanders. And we said this in like week 1. We went down their schedule and we were like, this schedule is brutal. They are not going to win more than 6 or 7 games.
6 games. Yeah, I remember that.
I just want to run a victory lap on the take. This team stinks. They're not like, we're all in agreement here. They're dead, right? They're not making the playoffs.
Oh yeah, especially with Dak. I mean, if he's hurt, they're already having issues with him on the field. He's write these next 3 games off. I mean, I think even Cowboys fans are hoping they just lose every game and get a high pick, and a lot of change happens. Um, Curious if McCarthy makes it through the season. I would be kind of shocked if he does, but I also don't know like Jerry Jones' whole history. I don't know if he's
I
really.
don't think you can fire. I don't think you can fire McCarthy yet. I really
And he
like.
kind of lets guys ride it out. I think of
He
J.C.
lets guys
Garrett.
ride it out, and this is a guy that won double-digit games like 3 years in a row, and this is the worst roster he's been given. Like, and they've had injuries all year. Micah Parsons, now Dak, now like I think the injury thing is going to save his job. Just-
Think they make changes, maybe coordinator wise. Maybe think Zimmer comes back. Yeah,
uh, they missed Dan Quinn. I'll tell you that.
talk. Yeah, missing a guy. I don't even think I
Zimmer's one of those guys that bounces around the league, and I just question how this like why does this
kind of
dude
wonder
keep
why.
yeah why does this dude keep getting jobs? Like what did he do that people look at and they're like, hmm, all right, he did this. Like let's bring him in. He's got an upside. Like I cannot tell you what he did other than like the 2017 Vikings defense. I I don't
Yeah,
know.
so 7 years ago,
Yeah,
hitting a
well,
wagon.
and like, why did the
That's
Vikings hire him in the first place? I'm sure Jake would know, but I just there's just not the resume. I don't know. Let's this is I'm
it's got to Google it.
yeah.
I think in like Cincinnati, he did all right. I mean, Vikings, he had solid units. It's just like it's just a life thing, you know. Like people get old. People get old, and times change, and certain coaches don't adapt as well. I mean, I'm not saying like an older coach can't adapt. It's the old saying of, well, you can't
Oh, I
dog
know what
tricks,
it
and
is. I'm familiar with your game.
is it even deeper than that?
This dude from 1994 was his
Oh,
first NFL job. He was the defensive assistant on the Dallas Cowboys. He was with the
uh,
Cowboys as a DB coach from 95 to 99. So he won a Super Bowl, the last one of that run there. Then he was the defensive coordinator for the Cowboys from 2000 to 2006. DC in the Falcons for the Falcons in '07, DC for the Bengals '08 to 13. Those were actually some decent Bengals years. Those were the Carson Palmer,
thinking
AJ
like
Green
perfect
years.
Geno
Yeah.
Atkins. Yeah,
Yeah. Not like tragic Bengals. And then he was the Vikings head coach from 14 to 21, and now he's the Cowboys DC. And I didn't know he had those Dallas Jerry Jones ties. That's how he got the job. That's how he got the
that's
job.
no,
Yeah. I am familiar
that's
now.
God, I love old Jerry.
Okay, let's talk Falcons though. What's the ceiling? Can this Falcons team win a Super Bowl?
Hmm. I think in the going into the season, I thought that. Um, I just feel like they're kind of like a fringe, like good at everything, if that makes sense. Like I don't really know how to describe it. Like they can throw, they can run, they have people on defense. Kirk Cousins fine, but they're not really like elite at anything right now. And I just don't really trust them to be able to like hitch their wagon to anything and be like, all right, this is gonna be our identity in the playoffs. I feel like they're still kind of working that team out. And I don't know, when we just look at like the Lions and some of these higher teams in the NFC, I think maybe they win the division, but even like the Buccaneers are going to give them a lot of pushback on that. And then if they don't get the division, it's like, do we trust Kirk and this younger Falcons team to go on the road 3 times and go to the Super Bowl? I just don't see it. Um, but I could be wrong on this. I know they have a lot of talent. Like if Bijan, Pitts, and Drake London were all like doing their ceiling, this is a Super Bowl team.
I think this is a team that can win a Super Bowl next year. I don't it
Yes.
just does not feel like a team that right now can beat the Detroit Lions. Like I'm just being straight up. Like I don't.
We're telling
This is a team I just don't. And then you're having a conversation about Kirk as well in the playoffs. You're having that conversation, and it's like I don't know. I don't know. Maybe this is a team. Here's the question: can this team be a Super Bowl contender in 3 to 4 years with Michael Penix?
yeah, I think so. If he is supposed to be the guy he's supposed to be, because we look at Jordan Love, respectfully, because it was the reason I hated it at the time. The only reason we traded up to get him was to get that fifth round or that, the 5 year, the fifth year option for your first round quarterback. He had second round grades because he had 18 picks in his last season in college. I remember just hating the idea of getting a project quarterback, but Penix was taken at 8, and it's like sitting behind Kirk Cousins, he was in a lot of people's minds one of like the best throwers of the class. So he's kind of probably be doing better than some of the guys we're seeing. I mean, like maybe better than Caleb Williams right now. I don't know. Um, but I love the idea of him getting like 2 or 3 years, and then you get Pitts, Bijan, and London all in their prime. That could be really scary if their GM's still around. That would be so. Seeing him trying to explain that to Arthur Blank or whoever was in the draft room was kind of crazy. But if he sees this out, it's definitely a long term vision.
I That's an interesting question. I have to fall on the nice side of things there. But we mentioned Caleb Williams. All right, so I sent a video. This is going viral on Twitter. I sent a video. If you haven't seen it, look it up. There's a video from Thursday or from Sunday of Caleb Williams on like a 2nd and 6, I believe, sometime in the third quarter, rolling out to his left, trying to make a play out of nothing, and DJ Moore quite literally in the middle of the play. Excuse me. DJ Moore quite literally in the middle of the play walks to the sideline and walks off. He just walks off and sits down on the bench while Caleb Williams is still running around trying to make a play. With that in mind, your thoughts on the current state of affairs in Chicago after this week?
Is there anybody defending Matt Eberflus right now?
No.
Or I just
It's
feel like
gone so far that Bears fans, as they always do, are smashing the panic button. As I've always said, I'm in those Chicago circles. Um, Smashing the panic button. This team stinks. 2 weeks ago, we were winning the division, mind you. I don't
yeah,
know if there's a more volatile fan base in sports. That's a genuine statement. I do not know if there is a more volatile fan base, including the Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles. This is a volatile plus delusional. They've never gotten a product that a lot would give them the idea that they could do this. The Cowboys won 12 games. I could understand being delusional when you have a 12-win season and then you lose to the Packers in the divisional and you get embarrassed and it's like I can understand that. The Eagles have had success for the better part of 20 years with Andy Reid and Doug Peterson and now Sirianni. They go to the Super Bowl. They won a Super Bowl recently. They go to the playoffs regularly. I can understand that. The Bears since 1985 have been to like one NFC championship game. I don't know how many other playoff wins they have. I they For the last 6 years they've been tragically brutal. I mean, one of the worst franchises in the league. And yet we draft a rookie quarterback who's still a good prospect, and we think that we are going to turn around and be Super Bowl contenders in the hardest division in football. It's a fan base that is just, oh my gosh, volatile. All of that to say, I have never seen a fan base switch so quickly from we are in the playoff hunt, we can win this division to we're getting last in the division again. Nothing has changed. We need to fire Matt Eberflus.
yeah. I very and I think it was said last week
All
about the
started by
Commanders.
Tyreek Stevenson.
Yep, bingo. It was seasons can end from a game like this, and you
I'm
saw.
taking credit for that one. I am. That
Yeah,
was
yeah,
me.
yep.
That
No,
was
yeah,
me.
you said it. And man, it's just it's nice because being the season we set off, this Bears expectations were way too high. I even think I was giving a little bit too much credit of the division as a whole being competitive. This was always the team that was going to be bottom of the North. I don't know why I was trying to convince myself it might be the Vikings. Because they're just better coach. They have more proven pieces. No matter if it's Sam Darnold, JJ McCarthy, or Joe Flacco, the Bears just can't get it done. So
Yeah. So the Bears have the Patriots next week. That'll get them their fifth win. I would hope. That's at home. They now remain they on the schedule remaining. Now I know we've done this a couple times. On the schedule remaining for the Bears, who are at the bottom of the division currently, is two games against the Patriots next week. They have two games against the Packers left. They have two games against the Vikings left, and they have two games against the Lions left. And their non-divisional games in that stretch are the 49ers and Seahawks and the Patriots. And the Patriots.
7 wins.
I don't know if they get that far. I
Maybe
don't know.
six.
This is a team I don't know if they win another game. I'm going to say it. I don't know if they are going to win another game. They're going to beat the Patriots. After that, it's really going to come down to if they can beat the Packers at home, which I would be I'd be kind of surprised by. But then they have to beat the Vikings and the Lions after that. And it's just like you're going to go through this gauntlet and it's going to get ugly.
Yeah.
It's going to, oh, hey, we picked off one of our divisional foes. We still got to play the Lions twice.
It can't
Like,
be good for morale. Yeah. Every week.
and if the locker, this is a team that didn't beat the Cardinals, and the locker room is already in shambles. I don't know if Eberflus makes it to December.
I can see that. Especially if they lose out this month.
I'll say this: if they lose to the Patriots, it's over. It's Jover. It's
Yeah.
Jover.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Interesting.
But the
Very
DJ Moore thing is just interesting because it's like we could talk about this team. They had some juice. Like, don't get me wrong. And now we said we saw through it all. We said they haven't beaten a team that has more than one win, and they were like 4-2 or whatever, right? But then they played the Commanders tight, and I was like, okay, maybe there's some juice here. And here we are. They lose to the Cardinals. I I mean, they they're just not.
Yeah. I don't want to kill them anymore. I mean, they're pretty
If
much
they had a
there.
great here's the thing is if they had and I don't want to okay, I won't use Matt LaFleur. If they had Dan Campbell, if they had Kevin O'Connell, it'd be like okay, they could pick off one or two of those division games and get to 7 wins and have the same record as last year, and they'd feel good about that, right? We have a rookie quarterback, a lot of new faces. We're just as good as last year, and he's only going to get better. That's a that's a great way to head into the offseason. Now you're in a situation where okay, we might not win another game, and we're going to finish with 5 or 4 wins. Crap.
Absolutely brutal. Especially because they had Justin Fields. I mean, he got up 7 wins last year. Not gonna be that guy, but I'm gonna be that guy. He definitely had better stats than Caleb Williams right now.
Yeah. Yeah. You're not wrong. All right, let's talk to about a team that we do this a lot with the Windhorse prediction
Good
panel.
name.
The Cincinnati Bengals moved to 4-5 with a statement win over the Raiders, 41-24. There was a pick six in there. And the reason I say statement is they did just about everything well in this game. They played good, one of the best defensive games of the year. They ran the ball well. Joe Burrow threw for 250 and 5 touchdowns for the second time this year. He did throw one interception, but other than that, 27 of 39. The Raiders, yeah, okay, they're the Raiders. Like this
Yeah.
team has fallen very far, and I actually would be interested to hear your thoughts on Antonio Pierce at this point, because this is a guy that did well as an interim head coach and is now 2-7. And the question needs to be: is this roster just bad, or is this on him?
Let me answer your question with a question. Can you name me 5 Raiders players off the top of your head?
I am the wrong person to ask. I have the box score directly in front of me.
All right, all right.
But I'll play the game on guys that I would have been able to name without doing that? I believe the answer is yes. Okay. Brock Bowers, Gardner Minshew, Aiden O'Connell. Naming two quarterbacks is not a good start. Uh, um, Colby
Yeah.
Myers
Okay.
and Zamir White because I
Okay.
drafted Zamir White and he was a bust.
Nice, nice. And I think yeah,
I
six for
think
me. Yeah,
Alex Madison is there. He's the other running back.
yeah,
I
yeah.
cannot name. Can I name a defensive player? I don't think
Max
I can.
Crosby.
Max Crosby. Yeah, Max Crosby. That's it.
That's yeah. And then it's like, yeah, I think the list ends there, man. And like, if I really thought about it, could I give more players over the course of this podcast? Sure. But the idea of I think Pierce should at least finish the year out. I would like to see how this team finishes because it sounds like he's been kind of bristly. And with Devontae Adams and some of these guys that are problems, I have no issue with that. But if he loses the locker room, this team like doesn't win another game. Um, Probably gonna end up going just
This is
because
a team.
yeah.
I have a question for you. This is a team that, if you look in retrospect, I don't know what they've been doing roster wise for like 3 or 4 years. This is a team that was in the playoffs with John Gruden not that long ago with Derek Carr, and they kind of got screwed by the Gruden like fire getting like the league coming down and forcing to fire John Gruden.
Hmm.
Um, but then they brought in Devontae Adams to play with Derek Carr to then move on from Derek Carr, and they have without a replacement in place. Like,
Yep.
and Derek Carr has gone on and gave invaluable minutes to New Orleans. Like, he's still a starter in the league. No one was ever saying he was an MVP candidate or what he was, but he was better than what you've replaced. Like, you did not have a plan to replace him at all. Period.
No.
You
Yeah.
hired Josh McDaniels, and this just with Josh McDaniels, like it's Josh McDaniels. That was just a dumb decision.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Podcasts
it
were
just it
reasons
just
why.
it just feels like this team has been making moves for like 3 or 4 years now that with there's no plan or vision or structure at all in place, right? Sometimes when a team tanks, they make moves, and even if they're bad moves, you're like, at the time, you can go back in time and see it, right? The Bears, for example, the DJ Moore trade, it was like, okay, I see, and it worked. That's a vision, it worked. I'm trying to think of a one that doesn't a move that didn't pan out, but you kind of could see is the Jets moving on from Sam Darnold to Zach Wilson. I disagreed with it, but I see the vision there,
Mhm.
right? I saw the Cardinals. This was one maybe people didn't see working, but you just drafted a guy and then you draft Kyler Murray the very next year, right? There's certain elements to moves that people make that okay, I could see what the thought process was. It just didn't pan out. The Raiders, there's no consistency or thought process or overall structure plan to anything that it seems that they're doing. Agree or disagree?
Oh, absolutely agree. I think if you're going to bring in Gardner Minshew as like this bridge guy,
And then you
you,
bench him in like 3 weeks. Or how?
yeah, right. Like they
Why did you
didn't
do
even
that?
really, yeah, didn't really let them. Like it's not like a serious football team to me in the sense of like they're trying to get a playoff spot. And that kind of just starts with even like the roster as a whole. I love how they drafted. Like getting Brock Bowers is nice, but are they going to be able to hang on to him? Because they've had Josh Jacobs, who led the league in rushing 2 years ago, and then buried him last year to the point where he left. Now you got Devontae Adams. That thing doesn't work. It's just it kind of goes back to just the mismanagement of the Raiders. I mean, there's just so many examples of it. Gruden was really the best they've had. I mean, in sense of like had them with a plan. Even if Mayock wasn't drafting the best, they at least had an identity.
I
Now
think
it's
the
like they're just kind
ultimate
of pulling straws.
the
Yeah,
ultimate example of what I'm talking about where a move doesn't pan out and you can see what the vision was is when the Falcons drafted Desmond Ritter and signed Marcus Mariota.
yeah.
That's like the ultimate, like, okay, Desmond Ritter ended up sucking, who I think he is on the Raiders now. But
Ironically enough, he is.
the
Yeah,
vision was there. And then Mariota came in and they had some juice with Arthur Smith 2 years ago. And then they moved on. They had their bridge guy. They gave Ritter a year to sit. And then Ritter came in and he was just bad. It's like, okay, I saw the vision there, and the guy, it just didn't pan out. And they had other pieces being added at that time. Drake London came in at that time. Kyle Pitts was the year before. Bijan was drafted at that time. And so all of a sudden they're acquiring talent, and now they made the right move and went and got a veteran quarterback to lead this offense. But you get my point. The Raiders, it just feels like we just went into a Madden franchise, and it's one of those things where you're in the NFC managing a team, and then you go look at the Raiders roster in like 5 years, and you're like, what? Who are these guys? How did this happen over here? Like what? What do you
Yeah.
mean Gardner Minshew's their starting quarterback, and he got benched for Aiden O'Connell in week 6, and
Oh,
Devontae Adams got traded for a third rounder before the deadline to the Jets. What do you mean? Like it's
yeah.
just stuff like that. It's everything's a reaction and nothing is proactive.
Oh, yeah. The knee-jerk reactions I hate. And it really, I started laughing about the Falcons. I'm not gonna lie to you because like their GM, it's really funny when you think about it this way, was so upset with trying to set Ritter for 1 year, and he was that bad. They signed Kirk Cousins. You're like, we're giving Penix 3. I have Brian this bleeding argument, and Arthur Blank's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Did you see what happened to Desmond River? I'm not doing that again." And I was like, man, like, because they tried. I mean, they tried. They went back and forth between them, gave Mariota the long leash, and yeah, it just didn't work out. On the Bengals side of things, I'm not gonna, business as usual in terms of they needed this one. Thursday night, it's gonna be a big deal. But I'm gonna challenge you a bit. Are you confident they win the next three?
Did you look at the next three?
I did not look at the next three.
So after the Ravens?
Uh-huh.
So you're saying they lose? You're saying they lose to the Ravens in a
Oh, I'm
close
saying
game?
let's say your prophecy comes through and they get to 5-5. Are we really seeing the Bengals at 8-5, or is this a team that just putters to 6-7, 7-6, and
Chargers, Steelers, Cowboys, Titans, Browns. I think there's one potential loss in that stretch after the Ravens. That's a cakewalk of a schedule, in my opinion. In my opinion, I
yeah,
think that you could lose to the Chargers. I think you're a better team than the Chargers. But if you lose to the Chargers, you're splitting the game. If you're going to lose one of them, you're splitting the Chargers and the Steelers.
right,
And
right.
then you're embarrassing the Cowboys, embarrassing the Titans, and you already beat the Browns, and now you're playing the Browns at home. And then you got to play the Broncos again, or not again. The Broncos and the Steelers again are your last two after that. This is a team that is currently 4-5, and in my opinion, has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 free wins on the schedule. Assuming you split the Steelers, like that was accounting for splitting
Yeah,
the
free is
Steelers.
a strong word, especially the way.
Divisional. I'm just saying AFC North divisional. You split. You got to play the Steelers twice. I'm saying you split it.
Mhm.
Okay. Ravens is not a free win. Chargers is not a free win. Okay. One of the Steelers is. Cowboys are a free win. Titans are a free win. Browns are a free win. Broncos are a free win. That's five free wins on the schedule currently.
Okay, so
Now,
9.
at a worst case scenario, that's what it looks like. Now, could you lose to the Ravens and the Chargers and the Steelers 3 in a row? Right? The non-free wins, you lose 3 in a row and the wheels fall off. Yeah, that's in the realm of possibility here. Absolutely. But the reality is as I said, the reality is that's a possibility. But you know what else is a possibility? What week are we in right now? What week is Thursday night?
10.
What, week 10 Bengals? Really? That's we're not having it. Nobody else in the world is having this conversation right now. Week 10 Bengals coming out party against a divisional opponent in a game they have no business winning, coming off one of the best performances of the year. Come on, man. They beat those Ravens and get to 5-5. Like I said last week. If you haven't listened, go listen to the podcast last week. They beat those Ravens. They get to 5-5. It might be 12-5. And I see your face and you know it's possible. I see that's the I see your face and you're like, oh man, this
I
kid's
do.
not wrong.
I'm just trying to think of what I give you if we get a Bills Bengals conference championship,
Oh,
and
I'd
I was
cry.
off about both.
I don't even know who
Because
I'd
I was
pick.
adamant. I'm like, ain't no way these teams go on a run. And
That would be epic proportions of, I mean, it that would be something. If we continue doing this podcast for 20 years, we would still talk about in 20 years me riding these teams
yeah,
to an AFC title run when both teams were marked dead at multiple points throughout the season.
it would be marked down as like a bookmark for the ages.
Now
I
here's
could
the
just
here's the issue with the Bengals, right? I have more confidence in the Bills because they run the ball better. Point blank,
so
period. And they play better defense. But the thing with the Bengals is you have, like I said, in my opinion, five very winnable games. I call them free wins. No, there's no free wins in December, obviously, but the end of your schedule is a lot easier than it was to start. And so you have a reality where this offense gets hot and they just roll their momentum. This is a team that has had bad moments. It's also a team that went to OT and should have beaten the Ravens, and a team that should have beaten the Chiefs.
yeah,
And so to mark them dead, which I don't see many people marking them dead, but a lot of people are saying, well, they're going to have to get. No, this team is very much in the hunt. Like it's not even with this schedule in front of them. Even if they win four more, they even if they get to 9-8, they're going to have to have. I mean, they're going to beat the Steelers twice. They're going to beat the Steelers. There's an avenue. Um, if they get to 9-8 and they play the Steelers, or 9-7, they play the Steelers in the last game of the year. Now we're having a conversation about them, win and get in, right?
right,
Um, that's kind of where my point was there. So they get to 9 wins and they got to play the Steelers again. Can they win that 10th one to beat them? They got to sweep the Steelers to do it and beat them in Pittsburgh. It's a conversation piece. I just, I, I don't think they're out of the divisional race, and they're definitely not out of the wild card race. This is a division. They have a game against the Ravens. That's a must win. Absolutely. But we're talking about a Thursday night game against a team that went to overtime.
yeah,
Anything can happen on Thursday nights, bro. Anything
mm,
can happen on Thursday nights. Like
very
that's
true.
just like that's where my head's at. The Ravens are great at running the ball. Running the ball on Thursday night is astronomically harder to do than a Sunday afternoon. I just like that's just the logistics of Thursday night. Um this Thursday night matchup, other than being in Baltimore, in my opinion, benefits Cincinnati simply because it's on a Thursday. If they were playing on a Sunday night, this is a harder game to win, in my opinion. But because you throw the ball well, you are in a better scenario than, okay, hey, Derrick Henry, you just went for however many yards and however many carries, got to re up 4 days later.
Yeah. The only pushback to this game is it is Derrick Henry because
Absolutely.
I go circa when we would always see the Titans and Jags color rush unis on Thursday night, and you could book Derrick Henry would go for like 200 yards. There was always like a long 80-yard touchdown run against the Jags, mostly because they were checked out by that point in the year. But um, I'm not putting it past him, but I definitely see the case. I mean, especially now that he's over 30, he's probably not going to have that type of performance. But I didn't think he was going to do as well as he was doing this year.
The case
So
the
we'll
case for
see.
the Thursday night win is not that it's not going to be a hard win and you're probably going to be an odds underdog, right? That
Mhm.
full acknowledgement of all that. The
Oh yeah,
case is it's Thursday night in the AFC North. Anything can happen.
anything can happen any given Sunday.
Any given Thursday.
Oh, yeah, yeah, fair enough.
Um, we will revisit this next week.
Yes, absolutely.
That's going to be a fun conversation. Now we've got one game left to talk about, and it was America's Game of the Week. And I will give you the floor to discuss the results of Lions Packers and your opinion on this because you are good for some Packers content
Hmm.
always.
Yeah, no comment. No, I'm kidding. I'm gonna save the salt. Um, Watching this Sunday, we both are. I'm a very competitive person. I like how aggravating it is to see that Field screen for pick six. Like, oh, like, dude, I get it was raining, bro, but that was one of those things. Like, when you see that play, you know you're not going to win the game. Um,
Tom Brady hit the nail on the head when he was like, the Packers have just made too many plays to stop them from winning a close game, and Detroit has not made that. That hit just hit the nail on the head for me. It was like, yeah,
Absolutely.
this guy knows ball.
Yeah, no, it is just the perfect way to say how that game went. I will continue. I know the game script didn't go that way, but please give Josh Jacobs the football. He's good at moving with it. Um, Defensively, I, I I know it didn't look great, but yeah,
I'm pushing back on that.
I was gonna say it was actually like in the sense of like the score didn't look great, but I will say in the realm of what they did, like because you gave basically our offense gave them 7, right? So what our defense let up 17
Yeah.
lines, like
I would like to pause here but pause right. Pause on that point. Defense let up 17. Time. Yep. Yep. Let's go read the Lions' last 4 total points in their games. 52, 31, 47, 42.
feel pretty good right now.
Let up 17. Nobody has held them under 17 points since the Bucks in week 2.
Top Bulls, shout out to him. Um, CC, am I wrong in saying this does nothing like for either team for me? Like I feel like we're going to play in Detroit and it's going to be a close one, and we might even win it because we're a better team on turf. But
I think that everybody reacted that way. I have not seen anybody running victory laps on the Packers after this game. This is a game where your quarterback is clearly banged up. The weather is awful. You're missing Jair Alexander, and you're missing your starting center, and you're missing another DB. I can't remember who it was.
yeah, it looks
You are
fun.
clearly banged up going against the top team in your division and the top team, arguably in the NFL. By the way, it's a complete downpour at home. And the team you're playing is the only team better than you at running the ball in the league. To lose by 10 to the Lions at this point is a win after a pick 6 as well. Like this is I don't see, this is just a close game that's lost. Even Jake reacted the same way in the group chat. He was kind of like, yeah, this doesn't move the needle for me at all. Packers are they're good. They need to go into their bye week and get healthy and they'll be fine.
Which we do need to have on the show, by the way. We've been missing out on some Vikings.
We do need to have
like,
Jake on too.
Yeah, I feel like we're getting to that point in the year where I'm very curious where he stands on the state of this Vikings team, the outlook for the rest of the way, and really the ceiling, because I know I have a very biased approach on just division rivals in general. Yeah, man, I'm just gonna kind of leave it at that. It's very disappointed. Yeah, a very sloppy game. We're not going to see it every week.
Here's what stands out to me amongst everything is the Lions have now won 3 straight in Lambeau. And it's just this team can win in any way. Like they're a good football team, dude.
Yeah. Dan Campbell said at the press conference.
They can win running the ball.
No,
they can win running the ball. They can win with good defense. They just did, right? They can win with Jared Goff airing it out. Any team that can win in multiple ways and have multiple paths to victory is by definition a Super Bowl contender when they're 7-1. And in my opinion, they're better than the Chiefs. And they're the best team in football. It's not even like they've put up high school scores on NFL teams multiple times this year. Multiple times.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. I mean, I don't know what the odds are in Vegas right now, but I would say they're my betting favorite.
So the question needs to be, are they peaking too early?
Because we have seen this, like the 15-1 Packers, prime example. I'm gonna say no because Ben Johnson is their offensive. I think as much as people are like they're emptying the playbook, I still don't think they are. I still think he has tricks up his sleeve. There's a reason he came back was to win a Super Bowl. He turned down more money elsewhere to run it back with the Lions. The guy's motivated. That's kind of what it says to me when he's like running all these. I mean, the play designs are just beautiful cinema. Yeah, it was, but electric. I love watching the Lions because you never know what they're going to do. And I've never said that about division rival. I probably never will. Um, they're just that good right now. So
Oh,
I
if the
think right
Lions are
now,
playing, here's the reality of this, and this sounds really soft coming from a Packers fan, but if the Lions are playing anybody else in the playoffs, I'm probably rooting for the Lions in the NFC.
yeah,
They're
rightfully so. I don't
just
want like
so
the
fun to
Niners or the
watch.
Cowboys. Yeah,
Like,
I'm really
oh, and if they're playing the Chiefs, you're telling me I'm not going to root for the Lions? Like, come on, come on.
Lions Ravens Super Bowl. Who wins?
Gosh, gosh, that's a great question. That's a
Yeah,
great question.
that is
Lions,
like
Ravens.
I'm like who's clearing the Lions right now? And then I put the Ravens next to him. It's like I don't think the Ravens clear them. I think we have a heck of a Super Bowl. I just because when we say
I
the
think the
Ravens,
Lions win.
yeah, because I don't think the Ravens have multiple avenues to win, as we talked about.
Yeah.
Not like the Lions do.
The Ravens could show up and shut down David Montgomery and Jameer Gibbs, and then Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jamison Williams go for 100 each, and they lose. And
True.
I have concerns about the Ravens defense. They've been good, but they've been slightly inconsistent. The Lions are just a true benchmark of consistency across the board. Like
Well, good
the question you need to be asking is Lions Chiefs, because now you're talking about a team that is on its last wing trying to win a third Super Bowl in a row, be the first team to do this, and has Michael Jordan, who's going to show up and he's going to you got to go beat the GOAT, like, or the modern day GOAT, and you got to beat him at on his stage, like, you know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
that's where you have a question. I would be all for a Goff Mahomes Super Bowl, because we might get that finally, we might get that Monday night 2018 rematch, and that would
Yeah.
be an all-time Super Bowl.
All timer for sure. But yeah,
But
with you.
can the Lions are the best built to beat the Chiefs in the NFC. If they lose and it's Packers Chiefs, I don't like our chances. I have just like if it's I don't even know who else could come out of the NFC. Honestly, if it's Commanders Chiefs, like, I'm taking the Chiefs, and it's just a problem. Eagles are
Yeah.
not. No, 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 no,
Yeah.
no.
No, it's kind of a short list. It's crazy, but um,
The only teams that can beat the Lions in the playoffs are the teams in their own division.
yeah, I'd agree with that one. 49ers definitely might have it this year.
No,
They almost didn't have it last year.
no, yeah. All right, so that takes us into our Week 10 predictions. To recap through 14 games of Week 9, we are both 11-3, and we both have the Chiefs.
How?
We both have the
How?
Chiefs tonight.
Oh, I literally I cry with these upsets. How? How do we tie all the time? Sorry.
Well, to go through it, you took the Jets, you took a 1-0 lead, then we both went Panthers, Commanders, Bills. I had the Chargers,
We
you
both
had the
picked Panthers.
Browns. Yeah, we both said Panthers.
Nice. Nice.
Um, we both or I had the Chargers. We both lost on the Patriots. We both had Falcons, Bengals, Ravens. You had the Cardinals. I had the Bears. We
Mm.
both had Eagles, Rams. You had the Packers. I had the Lions. Some value, as we talked about. And we both had the Vikings and the Chiefs.
Okay.
Yep. So going into Week 10, Thursday night football. Bengals go to Baltimore.
I got Ravens.
I am going to apply some strategy here and
Mhm.
pick the Ravens.
Okay. Okay. I trust it. Oh,
uh, Giants go to the Panthers.
Panthers.
I actually just wrote down Panthers for myself as well. I'm so far out on the Giants, dude. I like
I hate
I
them. So
I
unfair.
just don't see the vision. Period.
There is none.
Um okay, let me double check this. I wrote that down kind of as a joke. Do I actually want to not pick the Giants here? Yeah, no. But I will take the Patriots over the Bears.
I'll take the Bears. I'll take the bait.
It's not bait. They're at home. That's an upset pick for me. 49ers go to Tampa. This is subject to change depending on how Tampa looks tonight. But I'm taking the Niners just because Evans and Godwin are out.
I'll take Tampa.
Okay. Broncos, Chiefs in Arrowhead.
Chiefs.
Bills, Colts in Indianapolis.
Bills.
Yeah, I don't know why you even hesitated.
I love Joe Flacco. I was trying to find a way, but no way.
I already
No.
wrote. I was like moving forward to the next game and writing my pick, and you were still thinking. I was like, "What is he waiting for?" Like, what?
Joe Flacco, man, he's elite.
Steelers go to the Commanders.
I like probably the beginning of the year. I'm taking the Steelers hands down. Now, I'll take the Commanders.
Oh, you got to be kidding me! I already wrote down Steelers for you.
Uh,
Oh,
all right. I mean,
boo!
I'll take Steelers because I don't want to be on the other side of this if they lose. I feel like Commanders are going to win, but I know if you know what I mean. It's like the mental gymnastics we do on the show. I'll roll with the Steelers. I'll own the loss and eat it if they lose because I have been very high on them.
I was looking at the camera and talking to the audience. I just all right. I'm taking the Commanders. Vikings go to the Jags.
Yes.
Okay.
They picked one up here.
Falcons go to the Saints.
Who's that Saints?
Falcons.
Falcons. I'll take Falcons.
Yeah, I'm taking the Falcons. Titans go to the Chargers.
Chargers.
Yeah. Same. Sometimes I don't say my own picks, but it's just assumed. Yeah. Because we're talking about the Titans and the Chargers.
I'm terribly off the wall.
Jets go to the Cardinals.
At Cardinals.
Yeah.
Rodgers throws amazing ball in Arizona, though. I'll go with the Jets.
I'll take the Cardinals.
All right.
Yeah. Eagles go to the Cowboys.
Eagles.
Might be the worst team in football. I actually think I could make it. I might do that next week after they lose this game by 25. I'm going to make a convincing case for the Dallas Cowboys being the worst team in football and why the Cowboys are worse than the Titans. Click here.
I feel bad for Cooper Rush. They are setting Cooper Rush to fail.
Lions go to the Texans.
Lions.
Yeah, I'm taking the Lions.
Yeah.
Dolphins, Rams, Monday night in LA.
This could go either way. I'll go with the Rams. Hopefully Puka doesn't swing on anybody again.
Oh man, this one goes. I wrote down Dolphins, but it is in LA, which is the worst home field advantage there. But I forgot that Puka didn't play this week because he got ejected, and it's like, and they won anyways, right? They beat the Seahawks, so it's like I think I talked myself. The Rams are just a better team. I'm taking the Rams. Sorry for those listeners. Love to see us have different picks, but the Rams are a better team. I just that's revealing to me. Revisiting our Dolphins conversation, that's very revealing to me about my actual opinion of the Dolphins.
Yeah, that we're like confidently saying Rams are a better football team.
Yeah, that's I could see the Dolphins winning, but gosh,
with the 32 teams in the league, I feel like I can confidently say the Dolphins are on the back end of I could probably list 16 teams I'm taking over the Dolphins right now. And I don't think I could be close to that at the beginning of the year.
All right, let's run a quick experiment then. Okay, all 32 NFL teams. Arizona Cardinals.
No. Wait, they just beat them. Or the Cardinals just beat them, all right? So I kind of have to give the Cardinals that. Or am I?
But let's go with just knee-jerk reactions for this. So we're going to fly, okay? Okay, so your reaction was no, Dolphins are better?
Yep.
Okay. How do I want to count this? That's one. You count it.
I just feel like I can list off 16 I could take right now.
Baltimore Ravens.
Yes.
Atlanta Falcons.
Yes.
Buffalo Bills.
Yep.
Carolina Panthers.
No.
Bengals.
Yep.
Bears.
No.
Browns,
No.
Cowboys,
No.
Broncos,
Nah.
Lions,
Yep.
Texans,
Yep.
Packers,
Yep.
Colts,
No.
Rams,
Yes.
Jaguars.
No.
Why was there hesitation? Vikings,
Vikings, yeah.
Chiefs,
10.
Saints,
No.
Raiders,
No.
Giants,
No.
Chargers,
11.
Eagles,
12.
Niners,
13.
Patriots,
No.
Seahawks,
14.
Jets,
15.
Bucks,
16.
Steelers,
17.
Commanders,
18.
Titans.
No.
That was a phenomenal experiment. Well done. Well
So they're
done.
at 19
They're the
in the
19th power
ranking.
ranked team in the league. Yep.
That is,
That was well efficiently done.
yeah, we got to do that more. That's, yeah, the rapid fire, knee jerk. And it is overreaction Monday. I mean, it's
Yeah,
very
I mean, it's
thing,
just, well, we
But I
started
don't even think
talking about
that's
the rules
overreaction.
too much. I was like, no, we just got to go. Like, let's just fly through this, see where you actually think they are.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was 19.
That
That's
sounds
lower than
right.
I thought. Like, I would have been like, oh, they're like 14, 15, 15. But then it's like they're also 2-6. So it's like,
Yeah. You're like, man.
eh. All right, though. That wraps up our show, wraps up what we have to talk about. This is the most excited I've been for a Thursday night game all year. It's not even like more excited than the season opener.
Agreed.
I'm
Like,
dead
I'll make
serious.
sure I don't miss the kickoff.
Like this
this.
is
You got a
this
good game.
is what I've been waiting for. Oh, right, just what I've been waiting for. As always, thanks for listening, guys. Be sure to check us out on Twitter. I will definitely be in some Twitter fights on Thursday night. This is going to be fun.
Yeah.
Be sure to check us out on TikTok. We'll be back next Monday, recording our reaction to Week 10 and our preview of Week 11. As we continue to get closer to the playoffs, these shows will start to get maybe a little longer and then shorter once we have less to talk about, because once you get to the Week 14, 15, 16, there's teams we just don't even bother discussing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we try to have teams have a discussion about teams sometimes. And we've done this in the past. Like I remember last year, like week 17, we talked about the Bears because we just basically talked about their offseason, right? And it was we got into the Caleb Williams discussion, which is we'll probably do a little bit of that, but we try to get to at least one on each of the 32 teams at least once or twice throughout the year. But like I said, the Jaguars, what is there to talk about, man?
You got to earn time on this show. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not just gifted, the opportunity here.
Yeah.
Friends.
Yeah. And you don't want, and then when you're getting pity time, that's just, you don't want that.
It's even worse. Yeah. You don't want to hurt them.
As always, thanks for listening. Be sure to check us out on all the other platforms. Any closing thoughts?
Just thought the Jets game got flexed to noon. I think they're playing the Colts, and then I think it got replaced with Chargers. Don't tell me it was Chargers with Dolphins. Bengals, Chargers, which, you know what? That is definitely a rightful pick. But
for week 11,
mm-hmm.
That's going to be Sunday night.
Yep.
Oh, that's a win.
Yeah. Primetime show.
Let's go, dude. That's huge. That's huge.
Nice. Yeah.
That's in Cincinnati too?
Who do you say?
We just got that's 6 free wins. That's 6 free wins, dude. We're going to be 10-5.
I'm sure we'll talk about it next week. Absolutely. But no, I will, I'll kick it back to you for the outro, man. I don't want to steal it.
No more to add to the outro. We'll be back next Monday. Thanks for listening as always.
Take it easy.